So it's now time to rank my favorite kids from 10 all the way to number 1. In part 9 of 20, we are going to break down Grotesk's first 10 cards, and as many of you know, Grotesk at the 50% mark is my number 1 favorite artist in Project 2020. So let's get to it. Let's break down all of his 10 cards and figure out right now what is my favorite Grotesk card at the 50% mark. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris. I can't say my own name. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chris, otherwise known on Twitter and Instagram as @CRT_sportscard. And if you want the best website for everything related to Project 2020, jump over to my website, CRTsportscards.com. And also, if this is the first time you're seeing me, thank you for watching this video, and at the same time, hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date with Project 2020, as this is the best channel on YouTube for Project 2020. But here we are, it's Grotesk. It's time to talk about my favorite artist in Project 2020. And at the current moment, at the 50% mark, Grotesk is the lowest printed artist in the entire set. Grotesk is one of only 4 artists to have 3 cards printed under 2,000. That is his Bob Gibson, Tony Gwynn, and Roberto Clemente. He only has 1 card printed over 10,000, and that is his Mike Trout 11,405. Grotesk also kind of missed the bubble. His George Brett was card 75 at 56.38 when the ramp up was happening, and then his next card wasn't until 106, Dwight Gooden, 88.54, and then his next card was 126. So from a bubble print run perspective, he kind of missed all of the explosion that happened that other artists experienced in this set. So if you were adding all 10 of those print runs up, he has sold just 51,349 cards in his first 10. That is barely over 1/2 of a Ken Griffey Jr. Keith Shore card from the ultimate bubble pop of Project 2020. So it's incredible to think that he has released 10 cards and barely over half of one Griffey Shore. So when you think about where is the money potentially in the future on this set, when you look at an artist like Grotesk, or otherwise known as Kimu Meyer, who is a senior creative director for Nike, this is an artist that has very few cards printed at the 50% mark. Now, he has had some really great cards come out afterwards. After card number 10 is Mike Trout. His most recent cards are his Jackie Robinson and the Sandy Koufax. I will tell you right now, his Jackie Robinson, which I'll show here, but we're not going to talk about too much in depth until we get to the 20 mark at the end of the set. This is a true moment card in this set. And then with that Koufax, the lettering, the Hebrew lettering, was just a fantastic add to this card. But getting back to the topic at hand, his first 10 cards in Project 2020, I am asked a lot, why do you like Grotesk, and why have you been really on his bandwagon since almost day 1, or when I jumped into the set around card number 60? And it's very simple. I'm a huge fan of the number 3, and when I first saw his cards on both sides had the 3 lines, and I thought that was a really cool addition. But here's the great thing about his cards. I completely missed the creatures holding up the cards. When you take a look at his designs and you look at them, they're super 3-dimensional, and the 3 lines that I was seeing were actually the hands of the creature holding up the image. And now he has continued to improve and play on those figures, most recently with his Cal Ripken. They are now Orioles holding up the Ripken photo. But this ultimately begs the question, and why I am so curious and into Grotesk. If me, as a fan of Grotesk, can completely miss the creature for months on his cards, what else am I missing? What else is he trying to tell us? He is trying to communicate something through all of his artwork. It's going to be great to see all 20 cards at once when they're all complete. But this is why I am such a big fan of Grotesk. So while I sit here and ponder the true meaning of Grotesk cards in Project 2020, let's now take a look at his first 10 cards. Let's rank them from 10 all the way to 1. The first 4 are just going to be in the bottom, just my 4 bottom cards. But here again, I'm ranking my children. This is very difficult. We will see how I do. But I'm also curious, when you think of Grotesk, what is your favorite card? What is your top 10 list at the moment? Leave a comment below and let's get that discussion going around Grotesk in Project 2020. So in the bottom 4, I have Derek Jeter, Roberto Clemente, Dwight Gooden, and Nolan Ryan. And for a lot of you out there, you'd be probably surprised I have Nolan Ryan and Dwight Gooden in the bottom just because of the color scheme, the orange and blue with my logo of CRT Sports Cards. But these cards to me suffer and fall on the bottom because they're so different, yet they're the same team. I would have really liked them to be the same. I like the triangle on the Gooden, but then seeing the Nolan Ryan more of like the standard card, the standard design, I wish the Gooden was like that. But then again, I wish the Ryan was like the Gooden with the triangle. So I'm torn on these cards, and because they are so different, yet from the same team, is why they are in the bottom. On the Clemente, I really wish Grotesk would have kept his cards all vertical instead of one horizontal. With the recent Koufax being a horizontal card, him taking it vertical, he might have made a decision going forward, on this, but at the time, Roberto was horizontal. And also on this one, the figure is not centered in the image. That kind of drives me crazy on this card. Is majority of his figures, the rest of them actually are all centered around the image, and this creature is a little bit off to the side, and I just don't like it. And then on the Jeter, I think we could have done more with this card. The baseball field dominates this card. You really lose Jeter in the photo. So when I look at all of his other work, I really think that Jeter could have been the one that needs the most improvement, just because the diamond dominates Jeter, and Jeter should be dominating the diamond in this card. Coming in number 6 on my list for Grotesk cards, just outside the bottom 4, is this Tony Gwynn. And Tony Gwynn escapes the bottom for one simple reason. The color scheme on the card is so 80s. It's so perfect. It's very time period-esque in a sense. And so this is why this is my 6th card. It's not in the bottom, it's not in the top, but I just really like the colors of this Tony Gwynn. Coming in number 5 is this George Brett. And the reason why I like this card is the reason why I don't like the Jeter as much. George Brett here is the center of the card. It's basically the same card with the diamond in the back, but you have Brett here taking over the diamond, dominating the card overall. I also did like the colors, but I really think we could have seen this with the Jeter, and the Jeter would have been higher up on my list. But right now, this George Brett is number 5 on my list. Coming in number 4 on my list, and this also might surprise you a little bit, but it is going to be the Ichiro by Grotesk. This is, though, the card where he really made that transformation from one figure to 2 figures, as there are now 2 figures holding up the image of Ichiro. I also really appreciated the Japanese lettering here when it came to the Mariners at the very top. I thought that was a very nice addition to the card overall. So it was a great card in my opinion. I owned several copies of this card, but at the same time, when you look at Grotesk collection overall, for me personally, this right now is his 4th best card. Now making the podium here in the 3rd spot, getting the bronze medal at the moment, and I will say this card in my opinion is very striking. It was my number 1 card for a very, very long time, and it was also my number 1 card because I purchased it very first in my collection for Grotesk. It is the Bob Gibson. I did not though purchase this at retail at cost. I had to buy this on the secondary market. But I think from a display perspective, with the pink, it's the perfect shade of pink, and it works so well. So I think this Bob Gibson is a great addition to any collection, and you put this card next to the Keith Shore Bob Gibson, these cards go very, very well together. So here we are, 2 cards left. We have Ted Williams and we have Mike Trout. What is your money on right now for my top card of Grotesk? But coming in at number 2, it is going to be the Ted Williams. I think this card is really, really great. The yellow just stands out. It really pops. And here again, he uses 2 figures to hold up the image. It works very, very well. I don't have it in hand yet. Nobody does. But I cannot wait for this card to show up because it's going to, again, just like the Gibson, display so well with my Ted collection and my Grotesk collection. So that leaves us only 1 card left, and it is going to be the Mike Trout. So at the 50% mark, his Mike Trout is my favorite card at this moment. And it's for a couple of different reasons. Number 1, it is because I made a fool of myself when the card was first released. When I saw the 2 eyes on the bottom of the image or holding up the image, I said, hey, look, it's a crab holding up the image. That makes 0 sense, but I didn't look at the card close enough. It's actually two trouts holding the image up, and that is why I like this card so much. You take his last name, it's a fish, hold up the image, you get rid of the characters, and the color scheme works so well. So that is why the Mike Trout by Grotesk is my #1 card at the moment. Hopefully you like to look into Grotesk's first 10 cards in Project 2020. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And at the same time, if you want to watch any of my other Artist Series videos, check out the plays on the screen right now.